Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of CTS Biz Talk. So we just wrapped up Cybersecurity Month, which is October, and I'm like you guys, I'm excited about talking about something else besides cybersecurity. Obviously, it's a huge thing for us and for all of our clients, but to get outside of that realm, kind of excited about it. So we received a message from one of our listeners asking us to shed some light on the global internet outage that happened about 1.5 weeks ago. So I'm guessing it impacted you because it impacted me, my family, clients, like literally everyone. So thanks to the listener for bringing this up. And I encourage everyone, please, if you got any tech questions or business questions or whatever, send them our way. We'd love new topics to cover. We love engaging and having these conversations. So I'm guessing, like I said, everyone who's listening to this or watching this, you were impacted by this major outage. So it was October 20th, 2025, obviously, right around 2 a.m. Central Time. AWS or Amazon Web Services experienced a huge outage. It lasted the entire day, approximately 15 hours. Almost every person who uses the internet felt this impact. And it just wasn't Amazon items such as like Amazon.com or Amazon Prime, Alexa, Ring. Those were not just the only things having issues, but it was all over the board. So if you are on social media, Snapchat, Reddit, Signal, those things were completely offline or completely down or having issues. Gaming systems like Fortnite, Roblox, Crash Royale, down, completely down. No one's able to play any games. Of course, my two teenage sons, Jack and Ethan, hopefully you guys are listening. Hello. I'm getting texts from them like, hey, why? How could this be? Why are these down? And, Dad, can you fix it? No. Wish I could. I'm not in charge of AWS infrastructure. Love to. But outside of gaming, financial systems, Coinbase, Robinhood, Venmo, even certain banking systems, they were being hit by this outage. News outlets, Associated Press, New York Times, Wall Street Journal. I mean, I could just keep going on. There were systems that I saw online like Apple TV, Hulu, Lyft, DoorDash, Starbucks, Disney Plus. Like, I think you guys get it. Thousands of websites, tens of thousands of websites, mobile apps, businesses that rely on the AWS Amazon infrastructure were all impacted. And there was nothing that anyone could do. We basically were at the helm, at the realm of them fixing the issues. So, what causes a 15-hour disaster that took down all these critical systems, all these applications, all these websites? First thing was, oh my God, something this large has got to be a cybersecurity attack from a foreign entity. And in the end, it was an internal issue um, called DNS. So, what is DNS? And that's what we're going to talk about today. So, DNS has been around since the birth of the internet, and it stands for Domain Name System. And what it does is DNS essentially is the call it a phone book or a directory for internet and also intranet. So local, so the internet as a whole, and then internal networks for an internal business. And what it does is it translates human-friendly domain names, such as google.com or microsoft.com or whatever it may be, to machine-readable IP addresses. So I'm sure you guys have seen it on your machines or maybe in spy movies. An IP address will typically look like a 173.194.39.78. So there's typically four octets, and there's a whole reason why these are like that. But basically, the process is called resolution. So the way it works is if I go to Microsoft.com, let's say on my computer, so the request in my Google Chrome will say, okay, Frank wants to go to Microsoft.com or Google.com. What happens is it goes to my internet provider, my firewall, and says, hey, what is this website? I don't know what the heck it is. And it'll come back with one of those IP addresses and says, yep, here's where it's located on the internet. And it'll tell my computer, my internet provider, my router, my firewall, how to get there and how to do that communication. So as you could probably think about that, without being able to hit an external internet resource from your computer or systems can't talk to each other, the entire thing just goes down, right? I mean, let's call it out. It shits the bed, right? So, the sad part about DNS is that the way it was designed, it was designed with prioritization of functionality over security. So as the attacks in the last 10, 15 years have gotten more sophisticated, they've taken those DNS vulnerabilities and they've basically been able to penetrate and hack things. So we see stuff like DNS spoofing. We see stuff like DOS, denial of service. We see amplification, and these are really sophisticated terms, and I get that. But the point that I'm trying to make is there are attacks because DNS is essentially vulnerable. So what happens with these vulnerabilities? They can lead to, obviously, data theft. They can lead to malware infections. And as we can now see, significant service outages. So while we may have modern encryption and security protocols and all that stuff, we still have this weakness within DNS. And that is something that we're going to have for probably quite some time. There are absolutely things that you could put in place to protect DNS. We use a service called Cloudflare. So it's a distributed network where you have at least redundancy within your DNS resolution, so people are able to reach you. But in terms of an overall DNS is the internet. It's not as it's not as great as it should be. Let's just say that. And as we've seen, I mean, Amazon AWS is not messing around. They are hosting a good portion and market share of the internet, and a simple DNS outage impacted the entire world. So I'll leave with this. We always have a joke in the IT world that when something breaks, we always say, "Oh, it's probably DNS," and when it's not DNS, it is DNS. So in this time around, it really was. And unfortunately, a lot of people paid for that. And hopefully AWS will correct their internal DNS issues. And we won't be seeing this for any time soon. Knock on wood. So hope you enjoyed this. You got a couple knowledge nuggets out of this. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. I would appreciate it. Thank you much. And send in any questions you guys have or new topics you'd like me to cover. Take care, everyone. Thank you. Bye.